All right. Looks like we're live, and my name is Justin, and this is AI for the Masses, where am working on vibe coding, an indie game, a role-playing game called The Story of Someone. And this is take two, so not really part two, but a rewind, a take two reattempt at trying to create my first battle arena. And if you were watching during the previous live stream, you would have experienced that I was struggling with a major refactor in the code, and the AI fixed a lot of it. I mean, it was pretty impressive what it was capable of figuring out. However, there ended up being a problem with it being able to access the assets that I needed to display the player and the creatures, and it was even ChatGPT was struggling to come up with an actual workable solution that solved the problem. So after dealing with all of that, and I was a bit stressed about the major refactor in the first place, and I felt like I didn't really understand what was going on, and so I decided to revert back to my last commit, and I revisited the plan here. So I took the prompt that was a description of everything that I wanted to integrate into the game, and I used it again because I feel like the the general information there needed to stay the same. I've learned this lesson a couple times already, and I keep having to relearn. And the lesson is stop asking the AI to do so many things all in one go. And you can describe the full context of the feature that you're trying to add to a game, but you need to break it down into small pieces. Okay, so this is the same prompt I used in the last stream, and feel free to pause and read if you're interested. And however, I added a little new sentence down at the bottom, and it says, "This is just a plan. Can we come up with a step-by-step process to slowly update the code base and integrate this idea piece by piece into the existing code base?" So here is what happened. Instead of just one big sweep of refactoring, what it did was it came up with a 6-phase plan. So let's look at this plan and let's see how it might be approaching. I haven't implemented this yet. I just kind of off stream, I kind of regrouped and thought about it a little bit more, and then I decided with this. I am much more confident that this is going to work. So phase 1, project setup in basic arena. So create a new fight arena sandbox, and so it's going to create the directory structure, creates the tiles, and just render the basic grid in a window. I mean, that is about as basic as it's going to get, right? To at least make just the arena in a window that comes up when I only run the fight arena sandbox section of the code. All right. And then entities and placement. Create a battle entity class to represent combatants, player and creature. Instantiate and place the player and a default creature on the grid. Render the entities using existing renderers. Okay, so that is actually where we got stuck last time. So I'm still a tiny bit insecure about using existing entities, and I'm wondering if we can come up with a plan where maybe just as the entities in the creature generator sandbox are generated in that sandbox, and the assets, let me see here. So like the dungeon generator sandbox, I can't remember. So I don't have an assets folder. So, but when I do run the dungeon generator, no, that's right. So the dungeon generator just makes a skeleton. So I'm actually kind of thinking that maybe I don't want to pull assets from other classes into the battle arena. That maybe what I want to do is just have placeholders. So like in the dungeon generator sandbox, I am creating the skeleton of the dungeon. And then I export that skeleton, the general layout of the skeleton, to the game, and then the game expands in two directions or two dimensions. The tile, so one tile becomes a 3x3 grid, and then it brings in the art assets and pastes them onto all the tiles. And that worked great. So the assets stayed in the main game, and the generators just create the basic skeletons and things. So maybe that's what I need to do here. I just need to make the foundational skeleton and the logic of the fights, and then the art just gets slapped on top when it's in the game. When it's in the game. So, Phase 3, ATB system and UI. Implement the active time battle logic, where an action meter fills based on speed stat. Create a simple UI to display the name, hit point, and action meter for each combatant. So, this is still something that needs to pull information from another section of the game. So, I might not be able to avoid having to pull information in. But now that we're doing it in small steps, maybe it won't be as big of a deal. I don't see how we couldn't code this way, but I am feeling that maybe the art assets are not quite necessary. Or maybe I don't have to visualize a UI in the battle sandbox, and I can visualize, and I can just do the raw data and visualize the data in the game outside. We'll see where this goes. This is still good practice. I'm not upset at the fact that I'm having to start over and kind of revisit this, because it's allowing me to kind of internalize and process what it is that I'm actually trying to create here. And what is great about having the AI's help is that I can iterate and throw away ideas much faster and try again from another direction, another approach, which I think is a huge advantage to this. I mean, I have been watching. I tried using the Godot engine, and I came to the tentative conclusion that I didn't need a game engine to make a 2D game. I might be able to make a better 2D game with a game engine, but I don't need it to make a 2D game. The AI is kind of behaving as a proxy for the game engine. And so, however, perhaps what I might end up learning, and this is what this process is kind of showing me here, I might end up learning that I can make the proof of concept of the game outside of the engine using AI, and then it might just be really fast to import it into the game engine. Import is a very loaded word here. I understand that I'd have to basically refactor all my code and integrate that code into the game engine, especially if you're using Godot with the node system and things like that. It would be probably the worst part of it is that it would just be really boring compared to the creative aspect of figuring all of this out in the first place. Now I'm just like repurposing all of the things that I made into an engine, and it would probably come off as a tedious task. Definitely not one that you can give to AI right in the current state of the art. That's for sure. So I'd be turning my creative fun of making an indie game into this tedious chore by porting it over to the game engine. We'll see if I need to do that. We'll see if I feel like, or as I get more feedback about the game, especially from experienced developers, whether or not they'd be like, if you use the game engine, you could have this, and you could have that, and you could have that. And I'd be like, And if I couldn't do it using vibe coding techniques, then I may have to pivot later on in the project. Okay, so let's keep going. I got a little rambly there. Phase 4, actions and turn flow. Implement the action system. Attack, defend, move, and their respective costs on the action meter. Create a basic state machine to manage whose turn it is. Okay, so I feel like that should actually be earlier and I may say, like, let's review this plan, and I want to have phase 4 happen between or before phase 2 and 3. Debug UI and stat modification, create the real-time stat editing UI. I think I'm going to put the entity and placement of grabbing anything from somewhere else as the last phase. So create the real-time stat editing UI, hook up input to navigate this UI, and modify stats for player and creature. Hook up input to that. I might have to ask it to elaborate a little bit more on this. Creature swapping and polish. Implement the ability to swap the active creature using number keys, add visual feedback, and polish the systems. Yeah, okay. So again, I kind of feel like as far as like the actual any sort of asset art for the entity placement, I'm either gonna ask it to temporarily. Okay, here's what I think I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do phase 1, and when I get to phase 2, I'm going to ask it, does it intend on grabbing asset art from the root directory, from a subdirectory outside of this directory, and how would it do that? And if that doesn't work, it'll probably be a much easier task to tell it, like, look, for now, let me just bring some asset art into a folder into this directory, just so we can get the ball moving. Okay, so let's begin with phase 1. I will create the new Fight Arena sandbox project. Set up necessary files, get a basic 8x8 rendering on the screen. I'll create new Fight Arena sandbox directory and add the following new files to it. Okay, this is making sense to me. I like how this is looking, and it looks like it's just getting right to it. So, is it? Let's see. I'll also update the main solution file. Okay, so the main solution file for story of someone. Again, that's outside. That's in the main directory. So let's go ahead and do that update for it. And then, okay, so now I do need to make the directory. So let's, I got a folder on my other screen here, so bear with me. I'm going to make that new folder. So Fight Arena Sandbox. All right. Okay. So now the directory is in here. Let's go ahead and close this. Here's the new Fight Arena Sandbox with nothing inside. So the first thing is Fight Arena Sandbox.cs project. All right, and let's grab this. Now let's make program.cs. And this already is seeming like it's going to be a much more like manageable upgrade from the previous stream. All right, sandbox. Yeah, config.cs. Okay, and then, oh wait, no, that was JSON. Let me rename that. Oh, I had two misspellings as it is. Where's rename? There it is. So I had Sondbox instead of Sandbox, and this is a JSON. All right, better. Now, let's add sandbox config.cs. And then config manager.cs. And then tile type.cs. Yeah, sorry if this is kind of boring. I'm trying to think like, you know, what I could talk about while I'm doing this. it was really interesting trying to figure out how to get around the problems, but I think that it was also, if there's any criticisms that I've seen people have about, like, well, what happens if you don't understand your code? Yeah, that was probably one of those. That was one of those situations for sure. I mean, I could have worked with it longer. I really do feel like it wasn't an unsolvable problem by any means, but I was getting to the point where I was kind of feeling like I was losing control over the project, and I just felt like, you know what, this is just one of those things where sometimes you gotta backpedal, and I felt like I learned and had time to think about what it was I was trying to do because I was kind of interacting with the code in a frustrated situation, but it was still like actually kind of helpful. So I didn't mind that experience too much, as long as you feel that you can pivot quickly. So once I finish, I got to remember that once I finish doing these files, that I gotta shrink my camera here so you can see the game instead of just me taking up all the screen space. So wait, what happened? What happened to my sandbox games? Am I in the right? Where is that file? I think it's somewhere else. It's in the wrong. How come I came out? Yeah. Okay, hopefully I didn't throw some random file somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Okay, we're getting lots of warnings. So let's go ahead and go into the Fight Arena sandbox. And let's see if we can run this. If I know what all these warnings are about. Oh, not just warnings, errors. Okay, but this should be a much more easy to solve problem. Okay, so wait, I need to shrink down so you can see. All right, I got these errors. All right, so it seems to be related to, I wonder if I accidentally pasted code twice or something. No, it wouldn't be that. It's going to be something simple, though. Okay, so find a common issue when mixing modern .NET projects with older project styles or manually created files. Yep. Okay, so it's just the project file. No, project. Not even clicking on the right thing. There we go. All right, let's see how much that fixes stuff. Oh yeah, look at everything looking green now. Okay, all right. What's wrong here? Sandbox game. So why am I not seeing this error in the preview? That's kind of like a new problem. Anyway. All right. You know, as we get further into making the Fight Arena sandbox, I can consolidate only the code for the Fight Arena sandbox for the AI to handle, and it probably won't have to think as long. That does help quite a bit. If I do that, then I may want to, sooner rather than later, copy this plan. Yeah. And then I can give it what I've already accomplished. Yeah, because this isn't exactly like a super difficult error, I would think. And it is taking quite a long time to think about it. Okay, 2 issues here. Warning message. The build system is warning you that it can't find Dungeon Generator Sandbox. Uh-oh. This happens because your new Fight Arena Sandbox project references the story of someone, which in turn references Dungeon Generator Sandbox. When you run the build from inside, the relative path for these dependencies of a dependency can sometimes get confused. And then the compiler says it can't find config manager. This is a direct result of the first warning. The build process is failing to resolve all the project dependencies correctly, which causes it to fail before it has a chance to properly compile all the files. Okay, simplest way to fix this and move forward. This is similar to what I was struggling with the previous problem, was this idea that I was having to grab things from outside of this subdirectory and get things from the root directory. Simplest way to fix this and move forward is to temporarily remove the dependency on the main game. The Fight Arena Sandbox doesn't need any code from Story Someone yet. We can build the arena isolation first and then reintroduce the dependency in a later step when we need to pull in the player and creature classes. Okay, so I do agree with that for the most part. And maybe we can move forward on this and get this thing working with just like placeholder like entities, like a little circle or a little line or something like that to represent the creatures that I'm already confident that I'm going to have in the game. So I am not against this idea. And is this okay? I'll remove. Okay, yeah. So, that just got a lot smaller. Should that be so small? Wow. Interesting. I feel like it removed a lot. Yeah, okay. See, it's trying to grab all this stuff. That was a big issue in the previous attempt. So let's go ahead and just see if we can get it. Okay, well, you didn't fix this other error. Like, okay, but I still got this error. But I feel like, well, I was gonna say I feel like Gemini is running slow tonight, but I mean it's thinking. So maybe this is just a more difficult problem than I want to give it credit for. Well, I hope we can get some visuals and something entertaining going on here relatively soon. At least a window with the 6x6 tiles. So it's looking like my plan for this game is slowly turning into a hybrid turn-based RPG with a tactics-based fighting system, possibly. Okay, so config manager. Doing an update to that. And sandbox game. So you will notice that I'm not paying too much attention to the actual updates at this phase. I mean, there's two reasons. One, I've been kind of working all day and I'm getting a little antsy, a little tired. So like reading every single thing is not, I don't have a lot of energy for it. But the other thing is I don't really mind this kind of shooting from the hip and just seeing what happens kind of methodology. Okay. All right. So we have an arena. It has tiles. Those tiles should be consistent with the main game. And I think I would like there to be a light gray grid. So could we add a light gray grid to the arena so I can more easily see the tiles, like the delineated, delineated tiles. And also, before we move forward, I'll literally say that also, before we move to the next phase, I like the idea of, where's my window? Like so low. Hold on a second. There. I like the idea of waiting to use any assets from the root directory and possibly not using assets at all and allowing the main game to place the assets after the arena has been exported from this sandbox. This would be similar to how we produce the dungeon and export the layout to the main game and then place art assets afterward. Okay, just want to give it a little bit of a confirmation. What is this supposed to be? Dungeons and export. Confirmation that I like this plan of not utilizing the assets. All right. So what I'm imagining in my head is I don't want the fight arena to be so tiny. I actually would like it to be bigger. I would like to view it as kind of a zoomed in version of the game. And so that's the style aspects of that are gonna have to come later. As much as I'd love to see this thing looking cool and awesome and stylistic and have some depth to it, I gotta hold back. I gotta make the foundation first. And if you're watching this phase of my game development, then bear with me. It's not the most fun phase to watch, for sure. All right, let's get the renderer in there. This is with the gray lines. And then how did it respond to my excellent? This is a great design principle to make integrating the arena into the game much cleaner. We will proceed with that in mind. The sandbox will handle the logic and layout. The main game will handle the skinning with art assets. All right. Let's just make sure that this runs. Okay, good. Got a grid. All right, I like it. Okay. With the new plan in mind, what are the... Should I just let it tell me what is the next phase? I'm just going to let it take the wheel. Yeah, so this, I hope, is demonstrating that vibe coding is incredibly powerful. It speeds things up dramatically, but there's still a skill to this. And I mean, I feel like the sky's the limit. There's a lot of controversy around this. If I'm successful and I'm able to make a decent indie game in record time for the level of quality that I would be outputting, that can be scary for a lot of people who work with teams and have a job and make a living on this kind of stuff. But then the upside is that you could put out good games faster. And hopefully there won't just be the huge flood, this tsunami of just the AI slop, as people have been putting it. And I agree. I don't want the Steam and the internet and everything to just be full of all this slop that you don't want to play. I do intend, and my goal is to actually make a good game that's fun to play, that is engaging, that has emotionally impactful moments and stress, positive stress and things like that, for you to experience that is just able to be produced faster. That's all. Okay. We have successfully completed phase 1. Next step, entities and placement. Here's the plan. Create a battle entity class. This new class will represent any combatant in the arena. For now, it'll be a self-contained data class holding position and basic stats. This keeps the sandbox isolated from the main game's player and creature classes for now. Instantiate and place entities. The sandbox game, we will create a list to hold our battle entity objects. We'll create one for the player and one for the creature and place them at their starting positions as you requested. Okay. Render the entities. I'll update Sandbox Render to draw these entities on the grid. Following our plan, we'll use simple colored squares for now. Yes, I'm perfectly happy with that. A red one for the creature and a blue one for the player. Good. It is on the same page. Okay, new file. Battle entity. All right. So we'll see how far I get. Well, let me take a little peek at this one. This one has the stats, max hit points, current hit points, attack, defense, speed. Yeah, cool. It'll be fun to try and get a little bit of scaling going in the game here with the battles. And so my minimum viable product that I want to create is one where there is one town, one dungeon, multiple levels, with mini bosses, and defeating the mini bosses will trigger different phases of the story. Did I make a mistake? I think I copied. Yeah, I copied renderer or game into renderer. Let's do that. Or renderer into game. Trying to talk and do this at the same time. There we go. All right, let's see what it looks like. Yeah, so I'm going to try and create a small group of enemies. Oh, did I save? No, I didn't. Try and create a small group of enemies that scale throughout the dungeons, create some sort of a final boss. All right, so we got our characters. I don't think there should be any reason why I can move them around yet. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, I don't mind this. This is fine, just having a representation. I might change the creatures squares into like different shapes, like circles and things to represent different creatures that I already have in the creature sandbox. And all right, so I'll say, okay, that worked. Let's move to the next phase. And I mean, this is already going way better than the last attempt, for sure. Nice little broken down pieces of changes. So, what do I feel like was the lesson here? If you are attempting to, and it doesn't even have to be about a game. It could be like a SaaS project or something. If you try to add too many things at once, there's a chance that the AI get derailed. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't give the AI your full plan for a big idea. But the idea, the fix for that is to make it where the AI breaks it down into smaller, manageable chunks of a plan. All right, what do we got? Successfully completed phase 1. Okay. No, we already were done with phase 1. Maybe it... What? Oh, what is going on there, Gemini? Okay. That is weird. I've never had it like get confused where... What is going on here? Huh. It repeated the same thing. That is weird. I have never experienced the AI getting confused like that. Okay. Phase 2 worked. Let's move to phase 3 if that is okay. Just in case it did like a phase 2.1, but I don't think so. That was really strange. Okay, what do we got? Excellent. Phase 2 is complete. We now have entities on the board. Now let's proceed to phase 3. Action time battle meter. This should be interesting. So we're going to increment each entity's action meter based on the speed stat. Create a basic UI. Be interesting to see how it interprets the meter, because I do want the meter to run semi-real time, where if no one can take an action, it's like building up, kind of like I think Final Fantasy VII was like that. And then when somebody can do something, I am trying to decide if I should allow anybody in the game to be able to use up some of their meter to react to things, or should I just let things happen until to other enemies and things until the meter is full for them. So you could think of it like a stamina meter, where you can do anything that you want at any time as long as you have enough like meter for that action built up at the time that something is about to happen. I think that could be fun. Or I could do it a little bit more old school, where you have to be full to make a decision, but some actions use up smaller chunks of the meter, and then you'll be ready for your turn sooner as a result. I could see both of those types being interesting. UI controller. .cs, new file. Okay. Oh, it's going to ask for a font file. I already see that. I'll make sure and bring the Arial font in. Just a placeholder font. Don't get scared if you are big into fonts. I'm not going to use just straight up Arial in the final version. And then the renderer. All right. Okay, let's see how this goes. Did I not give you the coding instructions? I did. And you're still doing the non-nullable stuff. All right. Uh-oh. Okay, so I definitely need to bring Arial in, but the... Why does it want sandbox config dot... Okay, maybe that has to do with Arial. So let me grab the font. And see what happens. I'm going to give it the information about these non-nullable fields. I just want these warnings to go away. I got some warnings. I know the fix is simple. You got to add a bunch of question marks. I don't want to deal with it manually. Okay. The font failed. What? I didn't put that part in there, did I? About the font failing to load? Oh. Oh, maybe I did. Oh, maybe it's all connected. Maybe I didn't read that closely enough. Oh, there you go. All I had to do was put Arial in. Okay. Okay, interesting. So this is the meter, I suppose. Let me try. Oh, look at that. Yes, I wasn't looking. That's the kind of meter I was thinking about. Very cool. Very happy about that. Hey, let me change the speed. So where would that be? Sandbox config. Battle entities. Okay, I'm going to reduce the speed to 8. Oh, wait a second. That might be... Oh, I bet you that's going to change both of them. I don't think we're at the point yet where... Oh. Yeah, I think they're both at 8. That's fine. Okay. Okay, maybe I do need to do this to the UI controller. Let's see. Let's see if this fixes something. Oh yeah, this is where the warnings are. So, but it says I have 4 warnings, but I really only see it once. So that's interesting. I don't really understand why that is. All right. Let's see. Does that get rid of it? Looks like it did. Cool. So, all right. Okay, config file not found. Where is... I got this message. Are we handling this later? By the way, this phase is complete. I'm ready for the next phase. And please don't repeat the same one. Okay. This is definitely moving much faster and in a more interesting way than last time, where all I did the entire stream was just copy and paste files and paste warnings and errors to the AI. I would definitely wouldn't blame anybody for not finding that interesting, even though it does have an educational element to it. You were correct to ask about that message. It's appearing because the config manager is looking for the file, not finding it, and then correctly falling back to the default values we coded. This is the no fallback mechanisms rule in action. It's not hiding the failure. It's reporting it and proceeding with the known state. To make the sandbox cleaner and eliminate the warning, we'll create sandbox config JSON file now. Okay, so what's going to be in this? With default values. With that stored, you are right. Phase 3 is complete. We are ready for Phase 4, action and turn flow. Introduce battle states. We'll create a state machine to manage the flow of battle, waiting for an ATB meter to fill. Player turn, creature turn. Define actions. Attack, defend, move actions and their associated ATB meter costs. Handle player input. When it's the player's turn, we'll listen for key presses. Attack, defend, move. Okay, yeah, I like that. I mean, maybe... do I want to press the keys? We can change it later. We'll write the logic to perform the chosen action. In fact, I might even just like handle the UI in the main game, and then it'll just trigger these methods for the different states, and we'll just press buttons for now. That's probably a smarter way to do that. We'll write the logic to perform the chosen action, which for now will be very simple. Simple creature AI. When it's the creature's turn, it will automatically perform an attack action. Yeah, for now, that's fine. I'm okay with that. I don't need to make a complicated AI just yet. Update the UI. The UI will be updated to show whose turn it is. Okay, cool. I am... Wait. Oh, did I spell it wrong? Sandbox config. It's right there. Oh, I was supposed to put it in a configs folder. Well, there's the problem. Okay. I don't know why we need a configs folder, but I'm not upset. That's fine. We started making configs folders in other sandboxes because we had like different buildings and things like that. So whatever. Not a big deal. Okay, input handler. Oops, that was really small. Okay, and then UI controller. And then sandbox game. Ooh, that's a big update. And then sandbox renderer. And let's quit out. Oh no. Yep, okay, the error got cleared. waiting. So is the creature just going to do its attack? Okay, and then I can do attack. All right, okay. Not bad. Okay, that phase is working. What would be next? Oh, okay. So if I move, oh, look at that. Move. It's just randomly moving me around. I mean, I'd like to choose where I move, but this is nice. I like this. Yeah, this is the kind of thing that I was talking about. All right. Next thing, we got a basic turn-based loop running. Wait a second. So if I defend, it does half. Oh, I love that. Okay. Now we can implement the core debugging features you requested. You are now in phase 5. This is a crucial phase for testing and balancing. Expand configuration will add default stats for the player and creature to our config files so they can be easily tweaked without recompiling. Yeah, okay. UI controller will be updated to draw a detailed panel for each entity, listing their modifiable stats. We'll add logic to select an entity and a specific stat using the arrow keys. We'll use the plus and minus keys to increase or decrease the value of the currently selected stat in real time. Neat. Okay. Okay, stat config. Alright, so we got hit points, attack, defense, speed. I definitely want to change that for the different creatures and characters, so, but one thing at a time. So was I supposed to put that in the configs file? No? Okay. Oh, here we go. So we got player stats, creature stats. Love it. Oops. That was in stat configs. I didn't actually click on. Okay, and then sandbox config. Yeah, nice, because it's adding the player and creature stats. Battle entity. Oops, slow down. Okay, so now it's whatever my stats file says it is. And then input handler. Okay, and then UI controller. No, oh man, I am failing to actually click on these things. What is going on with me tonight? And then sandbox game. That should be the second to last one. Yeah, because we're still going to do an update to the renderer. And then the renderer. Okay. Okay. Did I make a mistake? Yeah, I didn't save. Okay. Okay, what is this? I don't even know what to do. Oh, that's right. So I can oh, this is wonderful. Okay, so can I attack from here? Okay, I would actually like to see the attack happen, or I would like to control the move. All right, what's left? And then we can start debugging the actual game. Okay, that phase works well. What is the next phase? All right, what do we got? So if I keep moving, it just kind of moves randomly. So I think I want to like press move and then press an arrow key to move in the direction that I want. And I was going to possibly do it where when I press move, I can move up, down, left, right, and it will use up 25% of my energy. But a diagonal move is technically a further distance. And that's an issue when doing square grids. So that's why hex grids are considered to be superior when it comes to movement, like tile-based games that are similar to this. However, I can just take maybe a third of the stat, or actually, if moving across one square is 1 unit of movement, then going diagonal would be a square root of 2 unit of movement, and I can take away, or I can multiply the 25% by the square root of 2. I didn't do the math before thinking about that, so I don't know what the number would be, but I would have that be the amount of stamina that is removed. Okay, so excellent. Phase 5 is complete. All right. We are now ready for the final setup, the creature swapping and polish. Allow you to dynamically swap which creature you are fighting against. This is the most significant integration step. Okay, so yeah, I don't mind this. I definitely want to. So now I have the number keys 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. Okay. I'm cool with this idea. And then battle entity. Oops. Slow down. And then sandbox game. Okay. This isn't too big of a update. I mean, other than the fact that sandbox game is growing in size. Yeah, and then sandbox render. All right. Let's see how this behaves. Oh, look, there's the slime. I was not expecting it to be able to pull the slime in. Okay, so, I wonder if I can just just copy the JSON files over. I mean, why not? They exist. I can just play around with them. It's not a big deal. Now the next thing is, oh, he's actually making it to the slime. I want the attacks to actually do something. So I could keep it simple and have an attack. Wonder if I should how should I play this? So many different ways to do this, where it's like the attack is maybe the maximum amount, and then there's like a range, a probability of attacking at a range that's lower. And I can keep it simple for now, like 80% chance that it is the full amount, and then a 10% chance that it's 80% of the attack amount, and that could be fun, as long as I end up with a file that's easy for me to update, to change those things. But first, I want the movement to make sense. Also, you know what I'm going to try and see what happens if I move the config files, or not move, but copy the config files from the creature generator and just place them in the config directory for this fight sandbox. I wonder how well it'll work. Look at that. Okay, attack still doesn't do anything. I can increase hit points. Oh, I can increase the max Okay, this is cool. I like this. Now, does the speed actually increase? Yes, it does. Look at that. This is great. Oh, it can go negative. Of course it should be able to go negative. That... oh, man. That's just silly of me. Here is pause. And here's like... I don't know, some sort of a drain or something. Like, no, oh, yeah. I mean, come on. That should have been an obvious feature to make sure that I had available. Okay. Interesting how the slime actually bounces around. I don't mind that at all. And wait, so I should be able to... I can bring in the tentacle. That's cool. And then the slime tentacle. Can I? Okay, so it's only got one tentacle. And I may have to ask it to... We won't worry about that just now. Okay. So I want to be able to move. So the config files came in successfully. I can tweak those. I can make the slime smaller and things like that. Okay, so this works. That works. If I'm not mistaken, we are done with the initial plan. I would like to make a modification to the movement what is that? The movement like choice for the... I don't want to do just the player. I actually don't like it that I can't control the slimes. Maybe I should do that first. I would like to make a modification to the sandbox where I can choose the action of the creature for testing. Yeah. And once again, one thing at a time. So I'm going to make it where I can control attack, defend, and move for the creature. And then I'm going to make it where I can control where the movement happens for everybody. And then I can see if there's any like weirdness of using my procedurally generated creatures for this. So my idea is, for now, so far, a slime can only do melee damage. A tentacle can only do melee damage, but from 2 squares away. And then a slime with a tentacle has both situations. It can do melee from 1 square, 2 squares, and it can move. So already there is a little bit of a strategy situation. For now, to simulate the player having any sort of change in stats and things like that, I will just have it where the I can upgrade the attack and defense and things like that. But I still have to decide, like, how is this attack and defense going to work? And I also want to bring the default numbers down significantly. Okay, so it did say that the initial plan is complete. Update input handling. Well, add new key bindings to the input handling, specifically triggering the creature's actions. Modify game logic. Yeah, okay. I think we get the point. So input handler. Not a very big file. Okay, sandbox game. Sandbox game is big. Ooh, something else extra there. Usually sandbox. Oh, did I accidentally? Oh, interesting. Okay. And then UI controller seems to have gotten a second update. Kind of interesting when it decides to. Oh no, sorry. I was thinking input handler. Okay, sandbox renderer going to still have, nope, there we go. All right. Okay, so if I attack, then the slime will get its turn, and then I can defend. No, I can't. Oh, wait. Yeah. Oh. Oh, I don't want the... No. I want it to be the same buttons. Let's make the control of the attack, defend, move be the same buttons. A, D, and M for both the player and the creature. Do have to make a decision. Well, we'll see how the code works. What happens if I set the speed at the same value? Who goes first? I'm sure the code's just happens to be set up in some sort of a way that it's already going to make that decision for me. And I don't mind which way it is right now. Okay, so input handler probably, most likely, got a little bit simpler. Man, the scroll has so much momentum to it. Yep, did get smaller. Okay, sandbox game. Okay, yeah, just change the message. All right, let's test that. And then let's add the move, and then I'm going to commit this. I think this is a great first test. Okay, defend. Oops. And move. I'm just going to keep moving. I'm going to see if the slime... So the slime never actually moves. So the behavior of the slime doesn't really operate with the tiles. We'll have to see how... I may have to ask the AI. All right, last thing that I want to tweak. Okay, this is great. I would like to make an addition to the movement logic. When I press the M button, do not lower the, I guess it was like the ATB meter, the speed meter right away. I also want to be able to choose the direction of motion for both the player and the creature. Should I allow diagonal right now? Because then I'd be using the numpad. And I'm already reserving the numbers 1, 2, 3. But if I'm in the move state, then it should be fine. Yeah. Let's use the numpad for the directions and allow diagonal movement. When in the move phase, after pressing the M key, do not allow the changing of creatures by pressing the numbers. Allow creature change only when not in move mode. Okay. That should work for our purposes. Yeah, definitely going to commit after this, and I'll have to make the decision if I have enough energy to try and create the attack logic. I don't think I will. I think this is a great milestone. I'm very pleased with this. I can definitely play around with these ideas, and in the next stream I start adding the attack and the defense and just basically the math behind how that's going to work. And I can start playing around with like how I want to start like the beginning levels for the creatures and the player. And then I can start scaling weapons and armor and creatures and how they will scale over time. So this is going to be a challenging thing to balance the game. But I'm finally there. And then I guess the next phase after that would be to export this arena to the actual game and probably like scale it up and give it some basic artwork that can make it look a little bit better. And I'm even wondering if I'm gonna create a camera and turn it into like a 2.5D kind of arena where there's a little bit of depth and a background only in the fight scene. So the main game will be complete top down, but when we're in the fight mode, there will be a little bit of a horizon. I think that would add an interesting spin to the game and have it be a little bit sort of tactics style. And I think it's a triangle strategy, which I always found that to be such a weird, bland title for a game. But it was like 2.5D. The characters were all 2D, but the maps ended up having depth to them and things like that. So kind of taking some inspiration from that, and that I'll be temporarily in a tactics-based game style and then go back to JRPG. Okay, so there shouldn't be anything that I really need to like pay attention to here. This should be a pretty straightforward update. And sandbox game. That's the big one. And maybe this is the only other file. Okay, good. It was an easy scroll for me. It's getting to 300 already. All right, we're going to be able to move. I don't expect to be able to actually move the slime. Maybe I'll just swap over to the... Oh. So move. Diagonal. Cool. I'm going to change. I want to change to the tentacle. Attack. Oh, there it goes. Oh, why can't I do it? You guys weren't seeing what was happening, but I wasn't able to change the creature using the top row number keys. I was only able to use the numpad keys. That was strange. Huh. Okay. I didn't realize there was a difference. If there is, then let me just do that. Is there a difference in the code for referencing the top row number keys versus the numpad keys? If so, I want movement to be only the numpad keys and creature change to be the top row number keys. Let's just see if that's true. And then I can remove the restriction of changing the creature. It can be a little bit stressful to be in a... Well, no, it's only when I'm in the move mode after pressing M, so it shouldn't be a problem, but it is a little confusing for me to have to avoid pressing the num keys if I don't have to. Okay, yeah, there is a difference. Well, that's nice. I am happy that that is true. I shouldn't be surprised, but I am not an experienced software developer, so there we go. And it was just a quick change. Yeah, I should really be looking at this. Like, here's the numpad keys. Huh. Well, isn't that nice? So I should be able to change, but not change. I am happy. I can move so many times before the slime even gets to attack. %25 might be too much. Although the speed of the player is almost double the slime, so that's kind of ridiculous, but I feel like their speeds should be really close to each other. However, I do want the base numbers to be kind of low. I like games that start off with very, very obvious low numbered stats, attack of like 5 and a speed of 3 and things of that nature. Speed with such large percentage differences could be fun, especially when the attacks and defends could be large percentage differences as well with such low numbers. I'll have to see how that works. I mean, I definitely want the numbers to be in the single digits. When I was young, I always loved the games where things started off with very low numbers, and I felt like the game got a little bit more muddy in, like, especially Final Fantasy, where you could end up hitting for, I think it was like 9999. It's like those numbers are just so big. When you're doing 4-digit numbers for stuff, it almost starts becoming meaningless. It's just like you basically just need a bar so you can see how much of the bar got removed. It's more of a percentage thing than raw numbers anymore. So I like games that get in the most into the 3 digits as far as like how many hit points you have and how many can be taken away and things like that, and even like the lower end of the 3 digits, like maybe 400 at the most. I don't like it when it starts getting into 4 digits. I just feel like the numbers start getting meaningless. Okay, that before I forget, I'm gonna do my commit. So I don't think it's I think I have to initiate. I don't have a lot of experience with Git, so yeah. Okay, cool. And then git add. Uh-oh. All right. I'll to avoid too much embarrassment and also to avoid making a mistake, I'm gonna do this off stream. As I said, I don't have a lot of experience with version control, and I think I'm already making a mistake. Feel free to roast me in the comments if you happen to watch this stream and get all the way to the end. And in the meantime, thanks for watching. And my name is Justin. This is AI for the Masses. This is the game dev of The Story of Someone, and I'll see you in the next one.